there's absolutely no doubt that ignorance is the great enemy, isn't it? And so the failure of the media to provide a better source of information for the American or the non-Chinese or the world public, whatever you want to call it, produces what's been predicted for generations. That is, that ignorance produces bad outcomes. Knowledge produces better outcomes. Knowledge produces truth. And as a former journalist, I can say that it's not an easy job to be a journalist, but it's certainly an important one. And yet, if you read the newspapers in the United States, sometimes I scratch my head and wonder just who, in fact, is educating the people who are journalists, because the way they report on China doesn't seem to comport with what any journalist textbook I've ever seen would suggest. Fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah, well, journalism has really just become stenography for war. I mean, the concentration of media in private hands, that has really also fueled the connection between the military-industrial complex and the media. And so we have a situation where major corporate media like Washington Post, New York Times, all of their principal sources are intelligence officials, usually anonymous. And then, on the 24-hour news cycle, you have intelligence officials like John Brennan who have a face, right? Or, we can go down the line in terms of those who kind of are a part of this revolving door between the military and the intelligence institutions and the media. So I think that is really the biggest problem with the information that we're getting, is that it's literally coming directly from those who profit from and who benefit from aggression with China. They benefit from telling the most egregious lies about China. There's no incentive not to, because there's always going to be a job for that. And I think that's what has made any kind of reporting or analysis on China difficult in this moment, is that you are always coming up against these very all-encompassing narratives, right? When the Associated Press comes out with a bogus story, all the major corporate media will run it, no matter how baseless, no matter how much some of us have been railing against these narratives, whether it's like the Uyghur genocide narrative or whatnot for, more than a year now. It will always return, because there are jobs where people are hired to just wait until they're assigned to tell this lie again, because there's a real material interest in doing so. There is no better source of misinformation than the corporate media, and the corporate media sees no better source of their own profit and their own cycle of reproduction than the military-industrial complex, because that continues to grow exponentially every single year with every single budget. So you just have to look in that direction and understand that there will always be reliable points of departure for building a career. And we see it with the proliferation of all these think tanks, the Center for New American Security, and we go down the line, all these think tanks that literally produce these so-called experts who then go into journals and media outlets like Foreign Policy, for example, the rag of the Council on Foreign Relations. Like, that is the reality. We have this real web, right, that all leads to the center of war, of these institutions that all have spun a web together in order to feed off of each other and reproduce these heinous narratives that help reproduce the very agenda that we're speaking about today.